on this particular question, I think inclusion just doesn't play at one level, irrespective of you're starting a new organization or you're an evolved organization. I think inclusion really plays at several levels. If you really want to make it real, it has to happen at several places in the organization. So I'll start at the top. So leadership at the top, the tone at the top is very, very important. That sets really the culture, that gets the ball rolling. And by this, I don't mean the HR leader or the DI leader. I mean the entire leadership team in terms of how do they show up in terms of inclusion, how authentic are they? So I think a lot of stories, narrations from the leadership team is very important for the teams or the organizations to understand why inclusion is important for the leadership team. And that's really setting the climate of inclusion in the organization. But the most critical lever, which I think I've seen in the last 20 years to make inclusion real, is our manager group, because a lot of stuff happens at the ground level. That's when the rubber hits the road. You can have your best policy, your best framework, your best measurements, but if you do not have managers who are able to take it to your employees, it all fails there. So we've done a lot of effort and continue to do a lot of effort in enabling our manager groups, talking to them about what inclusion means. And this is not just about gender inclusion or URGs, but also inclusion of thoughts, diversity of ideas. How do you get different perspectives to be valued in the organization? I think all of that fosters progression, fosters retention. I mean, you just don't want to get in people, but you also have to make sure that they grow and they thrive in your organization. So what we've done a lot is building on managerial capability, and we've engaged with external partners, internal partners, making sure that there is peer-to-peer learning happening between the managers to understand how they can drive inclusion in their team. Simple stuff. When you're designing an offsite, is it inclusive for everyone in your team? It's just not about giving the right ratings. It's just not about hiring. When you're giving projects to everyone in your team, is it equitable? It's not about being equal. Is it equitable? Are you making sure that you're enabling the people with the right skill sets to deliver? I mean, how successful are people in your team is a manager's accountability. We measure that through various pulse surveys, feedbacks, open groups, which keep happening, but that's just the output. But I think the lead indicators are we enabling our manager group to be able to lead as inclusive leaders on the ground? And that's what we've seen really shift the needle for us in driving a full culture change across the organization. So while we can have a lot of training programs at a global level, but what really matters is on the ground at the grassroots level, the frontline managers, how well do they understand? What are we doing to invest in their capability to be able to drive inclusion at the micro level in the team? And that cascades across the organization.